Yeah, so here's the thing with these characters. You know, one thing I wanted also like to cover in this video is like kinda how I do not like how they implemented like the UI for this part. You know, like all the parts of the game like do a really really good job of like kinda conveying how the game works, you know. But if you look at these talent descriptions, I feel they do more confusions than they actually like kinda explain things, you know. So I'm not sure how do you see that, you know. I'm doing this from a lens of a person who's coming from Honkai Star Rail for Genshin Impact. I know how the talents work there, and I make guides for these games, you know. Yeah, I think also that is definitely one major point to look into the numbers. So to see like what actually matters with its skill, because the main problem is it's a lot of yapping. And my also problem is like, it always starts like, when carrying, resolving, when doing this, when doing that, when doing this. This is actually, if you think about it, a flow chart, yeah? And they expect you to read those parts and say, okay, resolving caliber. What is resolving caliber? And then you need to look up where the fuck is resolving caliber. Okay, it's now here down below. But this part could be also in the burst, and then you have to read up what resolving caliber would do in the burst or in the skill, and then you have to come back, and then you go back and forth just to understand the Fortress circuit better. That's what's crazy about like this UI. Like it requires you to keep things in memory and then jump back and forth between skills just to understand what the thing does, you know. It's really counterintuitive. For example, I did something with Jian where I looked his stuff up, for example, this one, and looked up his circuits. And there's also, of course, a lot of waffling. And then I took the explanations here and then I just put it in a flow chart, like this one. Like you could explain this Fortress circuit entirely with this flow chart. You go there, you know, that's the Fortress circuit, and then you ask the question, does the guy have plus 30 resolve, yes or no? If he has no buffs, it ends here. If he has yes, and do you use your liberation? If you say no, you get plus 20% damage, and it consumes resolve when you use the skill, so you get 20% damage bonus. If yes, you get 40% damage bonus and no resolve consumption, plus the liberation does an extra nuke and consumes 30 resolve. Like that nuke consumes 30 resolve. And this is actually all you need. And boom, it's like, I feel like you can understand this in like 10 seconds when you look at this. You know, I'm not sure if you should be able to see that, hopefully. Not that I was explaining, yeah, you see that. So, and now when we go back to this text, you know, you can see like the difference. I feel like if they would use this kind of, you know, the system, or have it like somewhere on the side, just so that you can see quickly how the flow. Alright, future me here. I have another suggestion to do, like at least for the meantime. It's a small fix, but if they do that, that already would help HDHE brains like me so much. Just by adding a little info box, like a pop-up whenever you hover over one of these keywords, you know. You can do this at least on mobile, on PC. Like when you tap on that name, that you at least see some kind of pop-up explaining that specific ability in short, so that you're not forced to jump to that skill or have to look for that. Or instead of a pop-up, you could also make some sort of hyperlink and you jump to that skill automatically and exactly to the part where it explains it, so you are not forced to actually search for it. Okay, now back to past me. Yeah, I know for my future guides, if they don't change that, for my future guides, I will probably have to include something like that every single time, where I break down especially the Fortress circuit into some sort of flow chart like this one for every character, and bring that on screen when I go and explain the Fortress circuit, because I do not want to go over and just go and explain people like when cast and resonance skill, wind queller, blah 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 blah, and then this confuses the living heck out of me. I may understand it, but this takes me like 4 times the amount of time understanding it compared to any kind of flow.